Good morning and a very warm welcome to round 2 of the 2020 FIM CEV Repsol season here at the magnificent Autódromo Internacional de Algarve. We had to wait 240 days for the return of the FIM CEV Repsol at Estoril last week for round 1, but thankfully we've only had to wait 6 to see the Hawkers European Talent Cup, the Moto2 Junior World Championship and first the European Moto2 Championship to be back on track and racing. Myself, Elliot York and Jack Gorst are here to take you through the 4 races today, 2 for the Moto2 riders and 1 each for the European Talent Cup and Moto3 competitors. Before we kick off, a huge thanks has to go out to the frontline workers here in Europe and across the world as we continue our battle with coronavirus. Without them, we wouldn't be on the south coast of Portugal getting ready for what looks set to be another great day of racing. The protocols are in place here in Portimao, with grateful circumstances have allowed us to race. And Jack, it's a very different kind of race weekend, and I say weekend, but it's Monday today, which takes some getting used to. It's not the same without the fans here, as you can see there, but first, let's get to the action in Estoril for the Moto2 European boys, and it was all about one man really. That man there on your screen, Jari Montoya, qualified on pole, but got a grid penalty in the first race that dropped him down to 7th, but there you can see, quickly made his way to the front and passed your race leader, Niki. The battle for 3rd and the final podium was between Lukas Tulovic and Alessandro Zacconi, and Lukas Tulovic there, as you can see, just pipped it, but there you are, the number 55. Stormed to race 1 win, and it was all about him in race 2 as well. No one could catch Jari Montoya. Tuli tried his best for half the race, but in the end, the number 55 strode to victory number 2, his first 2 victories in the European Moto2 Championship. And Jack, it's all about him today, really. Lukas Tulovic unfortunately crashed out in race 2, so he couldn't repeat his podium in race 1. But there you go, the green machine, the speed up of Jari Montoya taking a double race victory.
Yeah, Jari Montoya, it really was on just another level in Estoril. And good morning to you, Elliot, and good morning to everyone watching along at home. I hope this finds you well. Hope you're doing okay in these strange times we find ourselves in as we just look out across the circuit here in Portimao. Look at the track temperature, 40 degrees already, and it's 31 degrees ambient air temperatures. We just look out our view in the commentary box window and we see the Moto2 guys rolling up to the grid. I think I've just seen Firmin Algarve and Alessandro Zacconi pulling a bit stoppy, getting some heat into their brakes. Not too much. I don't think they need to do that too much. It's pretty hot here already, isn't it, Elliot?
It really is warm, and it's been warm all weekend. We stepped off the plane in Seville and it was just, well, it was like 38 degrees, wasn't it? And it's going to get to highs of 34 degrees here today, so nothing wrong with the temperature on track and outside. Thankfully, the air condition is on in the comms box, so we're not sweating. But yeah, you can see beautiful blue skies, not a cloud in sight, perfect conditions to go racing. And there you can see the masks are on, protocols in place, social distancing here. Health is of paramount. But there's your pole sitter, Jari Montoya. And you can hear from him now after Sunday's action, not Saturday's action, Sunday's action in qualifying.
I'm really happy for this result. I think it's a new record of the circuit. So for this, I really happy. With the team, we work a lot this week because we don't have any days. So step by step, we can arrive at this result.
Yeah, your double race winner from Estoril. Obviously pretty happy with pole number 2, even though he started race 1 in Estoril from 7th. He did set pole position there, so it's been a perfect start to the Italian season. Obviously 50 points, top of the championship, and he's the man to beat again, Jack.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's looked pretty good all weekend as well. We went out around the track yesterday and we were watching him, and he was picking up on a few little bits and pieces, a few lines that not many of us were doing, especially through the final turn. He seemed to be really good. But of course, in warm-up this morning, it was actually Niki, the man in 2nd on the grid, who was the quickest. A little bit of a role reversal. He had kind of a couple of attempts over Montoya, who it's been Montoya kind of 3 or 4 attempts quicker than everyone all weekend. So we'll just have to see if Niki seems fairly fired up today. See if he can take it to Jari Montoya, the championship leader.
Yeah, fingers crossed for the race's sake that Tuli can take it, Montoya. He was 0.3 quicker than him in warm-up, and we can't take too much from warm-up as riders don't want to push it to the maximum because obviously the race is coming up and you don't want to go out and crash and injure yourself. There you see on your screen, championship second, 40 points, 10 behind Montoya, 2 second places in Estoril. It was good rides from Thule in Estoril, but Montoya just had that edge on him and he couldn't seem to do anything about it.
Yeah, certainly. And Thule, as we say, the Finnish lad, he's done a lot of experience. He's won World Supersport races before. He's, of course, been the Moto2 World Championship as well. But back here in CEV again for 2020, and he just seems as though he might need to take that further step to get the best of Montoya. Third place on the grid is Lukas Tulovic, of course, a man who's stepping back from the World Championship that he was in last year. Third place in Estoril, and he seems to be going pretty well here as well. Maybe needs to find just a small step to contend with the top 2 guys, but I think if anyone can do it, he looks like the man this weekend.
Yeah, he does. He's riding with Moto2 for Tech 3E Racing in 2020, so the MotoGP fans out there will be seeing a lot of him over the next few weeks as we get set for MotoGP this week, actually.
Certainly, that's
very
pretty
excited
exciting,
about that. But yeah, he's Moto2 World Champion with Kiefer Racing last year. P13 at Assen was his best result. And talking of World Championship pedigree, here's your man 4th on the grid, Adam Noureddin. He was 9th and 8th in Estoril. Qualified 9th, so a solid weekend for the Malaysian.
Yeah, you got to say though, Elliot, it looks like he's made a little bit of a step this weekend. Obviously 4th on the grid, and you know the gap to the top guys as well. He was hovering around that kind of 1.5 second mark in qualifying last time in Estoril, but here he was less than a second, I believe it was.
Yeah, he spent 3 years in Moto3, best of P5 in Argentina, so he didn't really hit the ground running in the Moto3 World Championship, but 4th on the grid here at the Autódromo Internacional de Algarve is a great result for Adam Noureddin, and hopefully he can, for his sake, push for a podium for the likes of Lukas Tulovic and this man, Alejandro Medina, another rider you'll be seeing in the FIM Enel Moto2 World Cup in 2020. He'll be riding for Open Bank Aspar. Currently, the bike there underneath him is the Apex Cardoso racing machine. He was 6th and 4th, as you can see on your screen, in Estoril, and qualified 8th there. So he made up some good positions in the race, and a second row start, middle of the second row, he can get a good launch and hopefully fight it for the podium.
Yeah, and you say that if he can get a good launch, he'll be all right. And of course, we do have a long race here. It is 17 laps, I do believe. Yes, it is 17 laps. And, you know, it's going to take a lot of fitness and physical endurance. And this Alejandro Medina is a man that has got superbike experience as well. So I think he should be all right on that side. Alessandro Zacconi, the Italian, the young 21-year-old, lines up in 6th. He had a pretty good showing in Estoril too, riding for the Promo Racing outfit. He was also in CEV Moto2 last year. Of course, he had 1 win. He hasn't quite eclipsed that just yet. Well, he can't eclipse a win, but you know what I mean. He's getting there anyway, and it seems as though this weekend again, starting on the back of the road too, he's another one that needs a little bit of a good start just to see if he can stop the top 2 or 3 from getting away.
Yeah, he'll be hoping to mix it with the podium, of course. I'm not sure he's looking like he's got the pace of Montoya and maybe not Thule, but you never know. The race is a completely different circumstance to qualifying. Like you say, Jack, he was 4th and 3rd in Estoril, so that's a good opening stint for the Italian, the 21-year-old. But yeah, he'll be hoping he can make up some positions on that drop into turn 1 and on the first lap so he can potentially fight for another podium.
Yeah, certainly. I think he can possibly. And as we just see Xavi Cardelus on your screen, of course, this is the man that many of you will know as being Jake Dixon's teammate in the Aspar team last year in the Moto2 World Championship. Had a difficult year. The KTM wasn't really quite up to the standards of the Kalex and the Speed Up, and possibly even the NTS last year. It was just a little bit of a struggle bus. But this year on the Kalex, riding for the Team Stylo bike, and it just seems to be gelling a little bit better for him. 7th on the grid, so he does head up that 3rd row. So I think it's possible that he could try and take it to Alejandro Medina and Zacconi, the same guys he was battling with last time.
Yeah, it was no hiding of the fact that the KTM in Moto2 last year wasn't quite up to scratch, especially in the opening half of the season, so that definitely didn't help Xavi Cardelus. But the 22-year-old has got experience in this class, and yeah, like you say, Jack, he'll be hoping for a repeat of his 7th and 5th positions and potentially even more today. Number 8, the Polish rider, Peter Biesiekierski. I think I've pronounced that right. 5th and 7th at Estoril. Not a bad opening race weekend for the pole. He was 18th in the Moto2 European Championship last year and a best of P8, so he's done better than that already in 2020. 22 points he had in 2020, and he's the first Polish rider in this class. So from the middle of the third row, he can be hoping, well, potentially challenge for the podium. We're not quite sure yet. Depends how the riders adapt to the conditions.
Yeah, well, as we say, if he can challenge for the podium, he wasn't far off it last time. He was actually 5th in race 1. I don't know if you noticed as well, not only does he have quite a cool name and a cool little thing that he's the first Polish rider in the European Moto2 Championship, but his helmet is pretty cool as well, the big googly eyes on top. You wouldn't want to look behind you and see them. You think that a crazy man's coming up behind you. But anyway, he's riding pretty well, is Piotr Wyszykowski, and we'll see if he can take another step. And speaking of a man that's riding well, FIM Algarve, he's been absolutely phenomenal since the start of this 2020 Championship. On the stock 600, no less, the Yamaha R6, and he's doing a really good job of taking it to the Moto2 guys. Even in warm-up this morning, he was 5th and less than 2nd off the pace. So he's a man that, well, he's got a bright future ahead of him. There's no doubt about that. Only 15 years old as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, Jack, he's been exceptional on the stock 600 bike. There's not, for the viewers at home who don't really know, there's not too much difference between the stock 600 and the Moto2 bike. You'll be able to explain better than me. You're a bit more tech savvy than me. But just quickly on Alex Toledo, he's another one on the stock 600 bike, and Fermin Algarve and him were battling hard at the opening round in Estoril. Alex Toledo incidentally finished 13th and 10th after qualifying 13th and 2nd in both races in class to Algarve, and they're starting next to each other or one behind another on the grid. And talking of the grid, I think we're about to see it now.
Yeah, hopefully we're about to. Just quickly before we see the grid for those tech heads, actually, I'll just let Elliot crack on with the grid.
So your pole man is Jari Monteiro, as we mentioned, Nicky Tully in 2nd and Lucas Tulovic in 3rd. Adam Norridin, Alejandro Medina and Alessandro Zacconi make up row 2. Row 3 is Xavi Cardelus, Peter Biesikowski and Fermin Algarve.
Yep, Toledo 56 on the other stock 6 is there in 10th place with Hardy. He's got really good late rate pace. And Mattia Ratto in 12th. Row 5 is Zetti, Diaz and Wilford. Sam Wilford doing well again this weekend. And row 6, it is Takeshi Izuzuka. 17th is Nicholas Chiba and 18th is Kevin Orgis.
Yeah, row 7 is led by the British rider Jake Archer, followed by Leon August and Andreas Koffler. And rounding out row 8 and the back of the grid is Connor Funk.
Yeah, the American looking like he's having just a little bit of a difficult weekend around here. We actually caught up with Sam Wilford yesterday, and he said that he was struggling just a little bit on the free practice day with some setup issues, but he seemed to resolve them yesterday. So possibly Connor Funk, the American, struggling with the same sort of thing.
It really is a difficult circuit here in Portimao. You mentioned we walked it yesterday, and we know about the circuit beforehand. We know it's up and down, left and right, fast corners, slow corners, but it really is a technical challenge for any rider. So if your setup is slightly out or you struggle a little bit, you're going to be off the pace, unfortunately, here. It is that sort of circuit. But here we are then on the warm-up lap for the opening race of round 2 of the FIM CEV Repsol, here in 2020.
Yeah, and as we see them just coming round the warm-up lap, as we said, we didn't walk the track yesterday. And one thing that surprises us actually was just how flat this straight is here. Of course, you can see them dropping down now into turn 5, the really tight hairpin. And that has a positive camber, and it really G's out there. So you can see the riders pushing a lot, but they've got to be careful not to tuck the front there, especially in these hot conditions. The track's getting greasy. And yesterday, actually, and the day before as well, we saw that in the afternoon sessions, a lot of the riders struggled to go quicker because those track temperatures got up to kind of the mid-40s and all the way up to the 50s even at one point.
Yeah, it's going to get really warm this afternoon, highs of 34 degrees, so track temperature is going to be pushing 50 degrees, you'd think, and that's going to make it difficult for the riders. It's a little bit cooler this morning. Track temperatures aren't too bad, I don't think, as they come up over the crest of the hill at turn 11. That's a massive drop down. We were stood at the top of there yesterday, and it looks steep on your TV screens, but it's even steeper in real life. This track really is a roller coaster ride, but that man there will be hoping to ride it from leading from the front.
Yeah, it certainly seems he doesn't mind roller coasters. He's enjoying this place, and there's another place where it's just, you know, the undulations are endless here. Coming over the top there's a small bump as they push around, and it really is a steep drop there. The camera doesn't do it justice, how much it actually drops and then fires back up onto the start straight. Anyway, as we speak of the start straight, they're coming to the grid. They'll be under starters orders in just a few moments.
Here he is then, Jari Montella doing some stoppies to get that heat into the brakes. It's a heavy braking zone down into turn 1, the drop into turn 1. Can he get the launch he wants? Nicky Tooley will want to get the launch. There he is rolling into second place. You have to think Tooley needs to break up Montella's rhythm early doors if he's going to have a chance of winning this race. Yeah, Montella has looked the class of the field so far.
He certainly has, and as you say, Elliot, I do think he's going to have to try and break up that rhythm. You know, Tooley, he's the man to do it as well. He's got an aggressive riding style. He's got a fantastic riding style, actually. He's a real spectacle to watch, so we'll see if he can do it. The green flag is about to wave at the back of the grid, and we're almost racing here in round 2.
There it is then, red flag clears at the front, the green flag waves at the back. Watching your top left-hand corner for the lights to go on. There they are, and when they go off, we will be racing. Tooley with a good start, Montella with a good start, but I think Tooley's going to have the edge going down into turn 1. Yes, he is. He's already ahead. Can Jari Montella? No, he can't. So Tooley's got the whole shot. That's exactly what the FIM needed. As some riders run wide there down into the tight turn 1. We go through turn 2 and down into turn 3. There he is. The whole shot for Nicky Tooley. That's exactly what he wanted. Tulovic got a good start in third. Norridin kept P4. And it was a good start for all of the top riders, really. They've kept places, but most importantly, Tooley is out front.
Yeah, in fact, actually, Adam Norridin and Alejandro Medina, as we see them come through sector 1 now, the timing screen should update, and it is Alejandro Medina in 4th place on the number 5. Adam Norridin just behind him as we fire now up over the crest and into the fast right downhill sweeper. This is another tricky corner. You can't go in too fast, as we see Adam Norridin getting a bit of a shake and a wiggle on. But already, it seems that Montella is through on Tooley, and that is not what Tooley wanted. After he got the perfect start, I think that was Montella actually just having a look behind him. Whoa, a big wheelie all the way down the hill. Wow, that would have been scary. But as we see, Tooley then, he needs to get back past him as he's drifting back into turn 11 at the top of the hill now.
Yeah, Montella didn't waste any time there getting past Tooley down into the drop in turn 5, and now Tooley has work on his hands if he's to keep on the tailpipes of the number 55, because he's stretching away already. He's got the pace here today as Montella runs slightly wide there, but I don't think he's going to lose too much time. We're coming around to the end of the lap now. The right-hander of turn 14, the Sagres corner, aptly named, and down into turn 15, the long sweeping right-hander. Here we go, then the top 4 really are breaking clear already, but Tooley needs to get into the slipstream of Jari Montella. It's going to be good night for the race. Let's see as they come up over the crest and past our commentary box window. It's Jari Montella in over on, but Tooley is in the slipstream. Can he have a look down into turn 1? He's pulling out of the draft. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? Montella was good on the brakes there.
Yeah, really strong on the brakes there, as we see Tooley not able to capitalise on the slipstream that he got down this long straight. Not quite as long as Nestoril, but it is certainly long enough to get the job done. I don't know if anyone spotted at the end of the lap there, turn 14, but I think it was Alessandro Zacconi going for a big dive bomb. Not sure who that was on, possibly Adam Norridin. But Adam Norridin, after maintaining his start position, has already dropped down to 7th. And it's, 6th, as Zacconi is in 7th. And Firmin Aldeguer on the top stock 600 runner at the minute in 8th place. So he's had a good start there.
Yeah, so the top 2 you can see on your screens are pulling away already to Lukas Tulovic. The gap is about 0.6 of a second between Tooley and your 3rd place man. And the gap at the front is a 10th. So Montella's not striding away straight away as we thought he might do if he's hit the front. So Tooley's doing well at the minute, but there's a big gaggle of riders here for the last place on the podium, currently fronted by that big number 3, Lukas Tulovic. Behind him is Alejandro Medina getting squirmy into the right-hander of turn 11 as we drop down the hill through turn 12 and into 13, the tight left-hander. A good opportunity to dive at the inside, but yeah, Medina being patient.
I thought for a second there that Alejandro Medina was maybe going to try and do, as you say, Elliot, just dive up the inside. It looks as though, unfortunately for Lukas Tulovic, he might just be holding up Medina, Norridin and Cardelus here, who's in 5th place. But if Medina can get through, we'll have to see if he can close the gap. I'm not sure if he's got the pace to run with the top 2, as we see Tulovic really carrying an immense amount of corner speed there. Actually gapped Medina coming out the last turn. And speaking of gaps, fastest lap of the race goes to Jari Montella. Not a surprise really. 1:46 flat, 3/10, almost 4/10 quicker than anyone else. Obviously the top 2 only 2 in the 46s that time, of everyone else in the 47s.
Yeah, that's the sort of pace we were expecting from Montella. About 3 or 4 tenths he's had over the competition all weekend. So we're going to see now what Tooley is really made of. Can he latch on to the back? And yeah, like you say, Jack, I think Tulovic could be holding these guys up ever so slightly as we run down into turn 5.
One crazy thing, actually just noticed on the times from that last lap.
Bit wide from Tulovic there, sorry Jack. Medina's going to try squeeze through up the hill. I think he's going to make it stick, or is he?
He just had a quick glance over at him to make sure that he wasn't going to try come back at him. But as I say, one thing I noticed on the times there, that 46 flat from Montoya on lap 2 of this race would have put him 3rd on the grid by over 4 tenths. So yeah, the pace is hot out the front.
Oh, that's an amazing lap then from Jarek Montoya. As we drop down Medina, it's already gapping Tulovic by the looks of it. Yeah, he's got a little bit of a gap there, about 2, 3, 4 bike lengths as we rise over the crest once more. And that's Alessandro Zacconi now behind Tulovic. He'll be wanting to make quick progress if he's going to be on the podium today. What's the gap at the front? It still looks like it's around half a second.
Yeah, half a second, and in that last sector alone, Montoya took another 10th out of Thule. So Thule's clinging on in there, he's got the fingernails in, but it looks like Montoya's just trying to get away from the flying Finn, and it's possible that Montoya could just gap him a little bit on this lap. Anyway, as we look back to this battle, it's pretty much a battle from 3rd all the way down to about 10th place, with Alex Toledo in 10th place on the 2nd stock 600. He's just behind Piotr Biszczykowski, who's doing another impressive ride again. I'm sure he'll be looking for a little bit better as he was in 5th last time in the race 1. As we just look for Alessandro Zacconi was maybe going to try and make a move up the inside of Tulovic, but didn't quite get it done at turn 1 there.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a look, didn't he? Incidentally, the gap now at the front has just crept over the half-second mark, 0.502. Last lap pretty much matched the pace of Montoya, did Nicky Thule. So he's not letting him get away quite quickly, so he's doing well. He's the Finn. There you can see the gap. It's probably closed a little bit, actually, on this lap. I think, by the looks of it, Thule has the matching of Montoya in the opening half of the lap, but Montoya is just able to squeeze a little bit out of him.
Ooh, yeah.
In the last sector. Who were we watching there? I think that was
Zacconi. Just got a little bit of a slide as he tried to turn it under Tulovic coming back up the hill there, but it didn't quite work out for him. And as I say, that slide, it would have cost him just a 10th or 2. And that's another thing with this circuit, because the track temperatures are so high, they've got to be careful. We saw them losing the rear quite a few times when we were out on track yesterday, just watching them, as we see Thule backing it in over the crest at turn 11. He really does have a sensational riding style, all action, elbows and knees everywhere.
He really does, and it's made even more impressive by the layout of this circuit. Thule just losing slightly more on this lap as he tries to keep up with the man in front, Jarek Montoya, but then these two are clearing off at the front. Medina's not quite stretching Lukas Tulovic as we thought he might do. The gap just hovering at around the 3/10 mark, and Zacconi's looking quite impatient behind the big number 3. Can he get the slipstream down the straight and make a move into turn 1? We'll soon find out as the leaders come over the line. It's Jarek Montoya followed by Thule. Let's have a look at the gap as they cross the line. What's it crept up to? 7 tenths now, so another couple of tenths on that lap for Montoya. It's still under a second, so Thule's still got them in his sights as they come down into turn 1. And there we go, Zacconi is through on Lukas Tulovic. That's 4th place now for the Italian. He'll have Medina in his sights as there's a pretty good gaggle, like you say, Jack, for the final podium position.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, it goes all the way back to Firmin Algarve in 9th place on the top stock 600 runner. Incidentally, on that last lap, I think Piotr Biszczykowski just nipped by him on the Team Starlo bike. But he's got his teammate 2 places ahead of him, Travis Loose, with Adam Norridin in between. Norridin still hanging on. It looks like he's picked up his race pace a little bit from Estoril. I'm sure he'll be a little bit disappointed because he has dropped back off the start from 4th, but it's certainly a better race for him anyway. Of course, finished 9th and 8th last time out in Estoril. Oh, just as we were saying about Piotr Biszczykowski, it looks like, I'm not sure if he's had a crash or whether the bike stopped. I think he has had a crash, actually. I think you can just see the scrapes down on the left side of the bike there. I wonder where that one is, the left side. That might have been the tight hairpin at turn 5. I'm not too sure. We'll have to get confirmation for you on that one. But anyway, commiserations for the first Polish rider in the European Moto2.
There's your first commentator's curse, Jack.
Yeah, not great, that
Didn't
one.
take you long, did it?
No.
Yeah, shame for Peter Biszczykowski on the number 74. 5th and 7th, like we said at the top of the show, in Estoril, so unfortunately he won't be repeating that or going better in race 1 today, but luckily for him he's got race 2 coming up later on this afternoon where he can make amends. Now then, we're looking at Medina and Zacconi's pulled away from Tulovic on this lap, and he's firmly behind the number 5, and he pulls out the slipstream almost before the start-finish straight. That could be interesting towards the end of the race. Let's see who breaks latest down into turn 1. Medina. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, wow, that was late on the brakes, that one. Oh, maybe just ran it in a little bit deep. Probably had to carry quite a bit of trail brake in there, as he was really late on the brakes. One unfortunate thing, as we said at the start, it did look like Tulovic was maybe holding up these two, and yeah, he has dropped behind them, but he's not that far off. I think he may have just regrouped, possibly picked up on a few things that they're doing, and he just picked up his lap times again.
That was super impressive down into turn 1 from the number 5 there. Did not expect him to outbrake around the outside of Zacconi, but he did it, and he did it in superb fashion, and he's still holding that P3. Yeah, like you say, I think Tulovic isn't out of this yet by any means. No way are we writing him off yet, and he looks to be closing in that gap, so just regrouping himself. Maybe he's just struggling with tyre temperatures on the opening lap, maybe with the fuel load, not quite sure.
Yeah, possibly that fuel load would be the one thing, Elliot, and he seems to have taken my script and thrown it right out the window, as we see him just closing back in now as Medina is fighting off the attacks from Alessandro Zacconi once again. Zacconi, interestingly, he looks really quick in the mid-corners, but not quite as good in the brakes, as we just see him try to dive up the inside in turn 13, but doesn't quite get it. Medina really seems to be a demon on the brakes. Obviously, that training at the test with Moto2 at the start of the year seems to have improved him. Those bikes, big 260 kilos, it takes a lot of physical power to get them things stopped.
Yeah, it does. And talking of motorway, we'll be seeing both of these in the 2020 Championship at Jerez this weekend, so maybe we can get a repeat of this in less than a week's time as we come over the line. Let's just check up on the leaders. It's still 7/10. It's just hovering under a second. It was 6/10 on the last lap, just crept back up to 7/10. The lap time for Montoya was 46.0 and 46.1 for Thule, as we see Zacconi this time making the move stick down into turn 1. Can he now pull away from Medina in second as the riders have bunched back up again? Tulovic is right there. It's a 4-wheel battle for the final, 8-wheel battle, sorry, for the final podium position.
Yeah, just in the last lap or two with Medina and Zacconi going at it, their lap times have just dropped down to kind of the mid-47s, where Tulovic was back up at a 47.2 in the last lap. So maybe this lap with Zacconi out front, as he's actually just set, Zacconi in 4th, he's just set his PB first sector of the race. So, sorry, Zacconi is in 3rd, our timing screens are incorrect there. Yeah. But he's just set his PB first sector of the race, so it does seem that he's just going to try and stretch that gap again and get back down to those low 47s he was doing before.
That shot over the hill really is spectacular. You're never going to get bored of seeing any sort of bike coming over the crest of that hill there, and the Moto2 bikes are spectacular as we focus in on Card Loose, I think it was, the number 18. He's doing well, and there's the man Thurman Algarve, last year ETC rider, so it's a massive step up to a stock 600 bike from a European Talent Cup bike. The 15-year-old, he's doing exceptionally well to keep pace with plenty of riders in front of him that have got much more experience.
Yeah, he's really showing, he's not showing his youth in inexperience at all. You know, first year on a 600 and he's already racing with guys just behind them, in fact, that have actually competed in the World Championship. So certainly the 15-year-old, when he gets a few more years of experience in him, he's going to be a bit of a weapon in this class. Absolutely right.
The gap at the front now looks bigger to me, Jack, from the naked eye. Let's check the time screen. Yeah, it's just crept to over a second, 1.1 now, so the last lap there for Montoya was a good 4/10 quicker than Thule, so it looks like Montoya is now stepping up his pace, or even just keeping his pace in the low 146s, while Thule can't quite match that with 10 laps to go. But the focus here is currently on the final podium position. It looks like we've got an absolutely cracking battle for that last place on the rostrum. There's 6 bikes in the mix. Adam Norradine just around about half a second off the back of Xavi Card Loose as we come down through turn 7 and into turn 8, the tight right hand, before we rise up over the crest and drop back down. Yeah, this magnificent ribbon of tar back. Here's your leader, Jari Montoya, 1.1 ahead, like we said. he's looking superb again.
Interestingly enough, Montoya, every single lap I've been checking up on what he's been doing. He's been in around the 46.3 range. He's just been banging them in, 46.3, 46.3, 46.3. As we look back to see how he took the lead on the first lap from Thule, just caught Thule napping a little bit. Maybe Thule thought that he had a little bit of breathing room, or didn't expect to move that early from Montoya. Oh, and this is where Montoya got that outrageous wheelie, slammed the front of the bike down into the tarmac. It's quite interesting, actually. When we walked the track yesterday, you could see all the tyre marks from where the bikes had slammed their front wheel back down over the wheelie, and as the team were all shaking their head, probably telling him just to calm down a little bit. They might have a little calm down signal hanging over the pit wall that time when he came round. But again, he's put in that 46.3, and yeah, he's 1.7 clear of Thule now. It seems that he's broken the grasp of the Fin as we've got 9 laps to go.
Yeah, Montoya and Thule, the only riders, not surprisingly, judging from the gaps, in the 146 is Thule dropping to a 146.9, so he's just staying in that zone. But yeah, that crest, when we walked the track yesterday, you're literally walking up, and until you get to the very top, you literally cannot see what's coming below you.
Yeah, not a clue. Like, as you said when we were walking it, like you can't even see the apex until, you know, you're pretty much going all the way down the face, and it's impossible for these riders to pick their line, but somehow they do it lap on lap. You know, it's just testament to their skills. We see that section once again.
Here we go then, up over the rise. Not much of a wheelie this time from Gary Montoya, keeping it nice and controlled. That left-hander is super good as well. Watching the riders through there is mega impressive. Here's the number 66 of Thule. Looks like with 9 laps to go, barring a disaster from your race leader, he's going to have to settle for second place again, which won't impress him too much. But
no, certainly not. It's starting to sound a little bit like Troy Bayless and Colin Edwards in 2002, with one of them always finishing second to the other. But Thule actually said on Friday in an Instagram post that they needed to find a little something. So I wonder if just throughout the weekend they've struggled to find what they needed, and we're just seeing that unfold now. Anyway, as we look back to the battle for third place, just starting to stretch out a little bit. I want to just point out one person back in 9th, Tiger Harder. He's a little bit off the back of the group, but he did this in race 2 in Jerez, I believe. Jerez. I'm thinking MotoGP this weekend. Race 2 in Jerez. I've done it again. Race 2 in Estoril this week. Last time, he had really good late race pace. So we'll have to see if Tiger Harder can come through them again, as we see Medina. Whoa, getting really squirrely. Just a little bit too brave on the brakes there. I'm sure he was staring at the back tyre of Alessandro Zacconi, very worried there.
He was almost in Jerez there, Jack.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Going down into turn 1, Medina nearly clipping the back of Zacconi, but thankfully not the case, as Cardelus tags onto the back of Tulovic. He looks like he's got a bit of a run there, just Cardelus, and he comes out of the slipstream. Is he going to make it into turn 5? No, not quite. Tulovic decent on the brakes there, as we see a replay of that move, or attempted move down into turn 1, getting it squirrely there on the brakes. He was...
Yeah, obviously
that wasn't too far away from disaster.
No, it wasn't far at all. Pretty close to the rear tyre of Alessandro Zacconi there. We know what happens when that recipe comes together. The rear tyre always wins. Medina would have been going over the handlebars. But yeah, pretty tricky braking zone there as they drop down. Rear end goes really light, and that's why we see them skating about, and just caught Medina out there on that lap.
Yeah, so this battle for the final podium position really is raging on, as we see there.
That's a shame.
Crestfallen Peter Berzikowski, like we say. He looks all good and well and ready to go out and make amends in race 2.
Yeah, possibly slightly disappointed and unhappy, but anyway, we'll have to see what he can do in race 2.
So then, coming around the last sector, it's Zacconi. I was going to say leading the race, Ben, but of course he's not leading the race, because Montoya's just screamed past us in our commentary box window. There goes Nicky Thule, and here he is, the number 61 in 3rd place. What's the gap back to Medina? It's about 3 tenths. So Zacconi's starting, by the looks of it, to stretch this battle for the final rostrum position, and that's exactly what we expected Zacconi to do. He didn't have the best of qualifyings in 6th place. He'll have been a little bit disappointed with that, but he's showing good race pace here to get the better of Medina, Norodin and Tulovic off the line and into 3rd place.
Yeah, just looking at the timing screen, Elliot, and Thule had a really bad lap that last time. He did a 47.5 compared to Montoya's 46.4. And actually the guys in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th were all quicker on him that lap. So I don't know if he made a mistake or whether something's maybe just starting to drop off. We see him go through sector 1. He's only a 10th down on Montoya and Zacconi behind him. So I'm not too sure what happened there for the field on that lap. But the gap to the lead from Thule is all the way up to 3.5 seconds now.
Yeah, Montoya's got this under control and wrapped up if he keeps it upright. And yeah, that's a good spot, Jack, because we didn't see what happened to him on that lap. But he's slightly slower again on this lap, not quite to the extent.
Yeah, not quite to the extent, but it does seem that something's going on with the fin. I'm not too sure as we look back at Xavi Cardelus. Cardelus, actually the man in front of him, Tulovic, just set his fastest sector 2. And the man in front of him, Medina, has actually set the 2 fastest sectors of his race. So it seems that, you know, maybe something is going on with Thule. He's a little bit slow on this lap as well. So we'll have to see. Obviously, he's got almost 5.5 seconds over the guys behind him in 3rd. But we just need to keep an eye on that gap. There is still 6 laps left. So if Thule's tyre is going off, we just need to be careful of that.
It's a big possibility to be out of tyre, Jack, because obviously he was pushing in the first handful of laps to try and keep with that man on your screen, Jari Montoya, and obviously he's not going to be able to do that now. So maybe he did push a little bit too hard on the opening few laps, but we'll have to keep a keen eye on that. You spoke about Tiger Harder. He's another rider who's lapping well in the last few laps of this race. How far off is he? He's only a second behind Fermin Aldeguer and 8th. So let's see if Harder can repeat his heroics of Estoril and scythe his way through the pack with 5.5 laps to go as Jari Montoya comes over the crest down into the back up the hill into the hard braking zone of the right-hander before going back down the hill.
Yeah, we've just got to say really quickly while we're watching Jari Montoya, he's really been extremely impressive since this 2020 season has started just 6 days ago in Estoril. He's been the dominant force. Obviously, he was on pole in Estoril, but got that grid penalty, which dropped him down to 7th. But, you know, even after a bad start there, he went from 10th and won the race by a handful of seconds from this man we're seeing on our screen, Nicky Thule. So Montoya, he's really got the form, and it'll be really good to see if he can, you know, find himself a ride in the World Championship next year. I don't know what his plans are, whether teams are looking at him, but he certainly seems to have the pace. Obviously, Thule is a man that's gone well in the World Championship before, so it's a good benchmark for him to be beating, you know.
Absolutely, and last year's European Championship, Edgar Pons moved into Moto2, and second place in the championship, Hector Garza also moved into the Moto2 World Championship. So winning this Moto2 European Championship stands you in very good stead of, well, getting teams in the World Championships, no issue, and he's doing everything right so far, is Jari Montoya, to get people to notice him. Incidentally, he was 7th in 2019, and he only had two third places in Barcelona and Valencia, so he showed glimpses in 2019, but yeah, like you say, he's really taken a step forward in 2020 and he's looking unbeatable so far.
Yeah, he is. I'm just looking at the screen, the fairing of the number 5 Alejandro Medina there. Coming into turn 3, it looked to be chattering its head off. I don't know, I'm pretty sure that's not the bike chattering because he's running a pretty good place. It just seems that maybe his fairing has come loose, maybe one of the bolts has come out, but anyway, it's not bothering him, it's not a risk to anyone else, so it's all fine.
Let's hope that doesn't affect Medina in the last 4.5 laps. He's closed back in on Zacconi, and it looks like it's these two who are going to be battling for the final podium position as Lukas Tulovic drops to around a second off these two. And Medina really is climbing all over the back. Oh, as I say, Lukas Tulovic has dropped to second. He's dropped off track, he's crashed. Where is that? I think it must be going into turn 10 or 11.
Maybe turn 8, I'm not too sure. We'll have to check for you. Certainly the left side of the bike doesn't have any scratches, so it must be a right-hand corner. From my little track walk yesterday, I can't picture anything that looked like that, so we'll just wait for it to flash up on our timing screens and then we'll let you know that one.
Oh dear.
That's the number 86.
That's Nicholas Saibar. I've never been able to pronounce that name right. Hopefully I got it right, but that looks, and Tulovic is the same corner as Tulovic, so it won't have been the same incident unless Tulovic has dropped something on the track. Let's hope not. we'll see when the riders come back around. I'm sure the marshals will get it under control, but that's, yeah, the number 86, the stock 600 rider, has gone down.
Yeah, Nicholas was actually down in 16th before that crash, so it certainly wasn't a collective incident. It was two separate incidents by the seams of it. So possibly just Tulovic laying in the gravel trap with the bike. It just took Nicholas's eye off what he was looking at, and a little bit of a lapse of concentration, and he's just took the front possibly. So,
well, Montea's coming into that corner now, so hopefully there's nothing on track that's affecting him. No, Montea through there, safe and sound, no worries for your race leader as we come over the crest once more, leaning off the bike. Spectacular images from your race leader. He's enjoying himself out there today, isn't he, in the sunshine. 3 and a bit laps to go. He's got this race pretty much wrapped up if he can keep it on the straight and narrow. What's the gap now? Thule 4.7, and he's around about 6 seconds clear of your third place battle. So I don't think he's running into too many troubles, Thule. He just can't keep the pace of the number 55.
Yeah, definitely not. He's just been too strong. Oh, you just see him have a little moment on the front end there, but no worries for him. He's all fine. Actually, just the last couple of laps, Montea has dropped his pace off. He's dropped back into the 47s for the first time, doing a 47.5 that last time round. Thule was a tenth quicker than him, but the gap, as we say, is 4.7. So Montea, he's just in conservation mode, and he's just going to take this one home to the flag. We're free to go.
As you say, Jack, 3 laps to go here in the opening race on Monday here in Portimao. There's your second place man, Thule, in a race of his own, really, and you can see the battle raging on for third. Medina looked like he was properly in the slipstream of Zacconi. If we can pan back to the third place battle, we'll see if Zacconi's got it. Sorry, Medina's got it done, but we'll find out shortly.
And on that last lap, actually, Montea just picked his pace up again. So I presume he was possibly just being a little bit cautious of the yellow flags, as we did see the 2 crashes there on the previous lap. Anyway, just looking at him, he looks pretty comfortable out front. No dramas. It looks like it's going to be a third race win in 3 races for the championship leader on the speed up. And, you know, he's been absolutely dominant. We can't really say much more about him than that. Just looking back, Adam Noureddin, he's just a few seconds off the back of Medina. So 5th place looks just pretty much as good as he can get in this race, barring a mistake from any one of the 3 guys in front of him. And of course, that would be a much bigger improvement on the 8th place and 9th place he had in Estoril. So Noureddin, he's going in the right way. So for everyone back home supporting Adam Noureddin, it's looking like it's going to be a good day for him.
It does, but he's just got to watch out for Tiger Harder in 6th place. We said about Tiger Harder's late race pace, and he's proven it again. His last lap was a good 5 or so, 6 or so tenths quicker than Adam Noureddin. So that battle for the top 5 is looking like it's going to heat up any moment now as we pan back to the battle for 3rd place. And Zacconi just looks like he's dropped the number 5 ever so slightly. There's a few bike lengths between them now. Medina's not going to be as close in the slipstream coming over the crest of the hill as they cross the line for 2 laps to go.
Yeah, it looks as though Medina, the last few laps, just trying to get a move done on Zacconi. He's maybe just started, what? My God, look at him, just going down there, backing it in.
Sensational on the brakes into turn 1. I think he ran a little bit wide there, but...
Yeah, just a little bit. He seemed to be quite slow in the middle of the corner, but very fast in. But anyway, he seems to be putting in another late charge with just a lap and 3/4 to go to try and pick off that podium place from Alessandro Zacconi in front of him.
Yeah, he finished 6th and 4th in Estoril, did Medina, so he's sitting in 4th now, so he'll really be wanting to spray the champagne on the podium. As we see on our timing screens, something's happened to Xavi Cardelus. Has he crashed or has he entered pit lane? He might have entered pit lane. We'll have to see what's happened there.
Not too sure what's happened to Cardelus there. It does say on our timing screens a P next to his name rather than anything else, so it does seem that he's come into the pit lane. We'll have to find out what happened with him after this race, but anyway, bad luck for the Andorran as he drops down the timing screens.
Yeah, it's a shame for Xavi Cardelus, who was on for a solid top 10 finish. As we look at the battle we previously mentioned, Noureddin versus Harder, and Harder has closed the number 7 in. And it's a battle of the Asian riders for 5th place. Who's going to get it? It looks like it's Tiger Harder, to be honest. Noureddin just struggling a little bit on the pace. What was the last laps? The last laps Harder was in the 47s.
Yeah,
And
Norridin
was still in the 48, so yeah, it looks like it's only a matter of time, but there's not got much time left. The last lap is upon us, and there he is, Jari Montella smoothly through turn 1. He's just going to cruise round to surely pick up his 3rd race victory of the season. Nicky Tooley looks like he's going to have to settle for 2nd, and here is the battle for your final podium position. Zacconi looks like he's got it under control, but you can bet your bottom dollar Medina's going to push as hard as he can on this final lap to take his first podium in the Moto2 European Championship. But it has all been about this man, the number 55, Jari Montella, up over the crest into turn 7 and then turn 8, where Tulovic crashed a few laps earlier. He's not going to crash on this last lap, surely. I won't speak too soon, but he can just cruise home. Can the speed up rider?
Yeah, don't commentate as cursing now. Just quickly look down on timing screens. In the top 10, we do have Matteo Ratto in 9th and Sam Wilford in 10th, the Brit. So Wilf, when we caught up with him yesterday, actually said he was aiming for top 12, and he said 10th would be even better. So top 10 for Wilford, that would be his best result. And it seems that Matteo Ratto is at a good ride as well, coming up from 12th on the grid.
Yeah, that'll be a great result for Sam Wilford on the Calex machine. But we're looking at the number 55, Jari Montella, into the last sector. Rounds 1 corner, just the last sweeping right-hander of 15 to go. The checkered flag will be waving for Jari Montella, and it's a perfect start to his 2020 season. A hat-trick of wins now at the start of 2020. He pulls a wheelie. What a win for the number 55. The team are on the pit wall, and rightly so. There we can see Nicky Tooley taking 2nd place, and it's Alessandro Zacconi who beats Medina to 3rd place in the last position on the podium. What a race, Jack, to start us off. It was all about Montella, Tooley, and then Zacconi on the podium.
Yeah, cracking races. We just see Tiger Harder come flying past us. It looks like that he is just going to miss out on that 5th place battle with Adam Norridin. So Adam Norridin 5th, Tiger Harder 6th, the top stock 600 runner Firmin Algarve in 7th. That's a cracking ride from him. Another cracking ride is Alex Toledo. He's also a stock 600 rider, finishes 8th. So 2 stock 6 in the top 10. That's brilliant stuff from them. And as we said, Matteo Ratto, he's going to cross the line for 9th, and Sam Wilford rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, you rightly pointing out the stock 600 riders there, Jack. Firmin Algarve and Alex Toledo. Great results for them, but it is all about the speed up rider. Pulls a wheelie like he did on the first lap. Nice little wheelie over the crest of the hill. What a start to his campaign. That's 75 points out of a possible 75 now for the Italian, and surely he's making an aim to get a Moto2 2021 call-up. Speed Up will certainly be looking at him. And hopefully he can, for his sake, carry on his tremendous form. But I know one man who'll be wanting to stop in is Nicky Tooley, but he ended up 7.2 seconds off the race win, so he's got some time to make up to do if he's going to challenge for a race win here in Portimao. Just run you through the top 10. We saw Zacconi beating Medina to that final rostrum. That's Zacconi's 2nd rostrum of the year after finishing 3rd in Estoril, so he'll be hoping to repeat that in race 2 later on. Medina 4th, Adam Norridin finishing 5th. That's his best result of the season. 6th place for Tiger Harder equals his best. He was 6th in Estoril. Great late race pace from the Japanese man. As we've already mentioned, Firmin Algarve and Alex Toledo doing brilliantly to finish 7th and 8th, with Matteo Ratto and Sam Wilford rounding out the top 10. But the podium finishers have pulled into Parc Ferme. The team congratulate Jari Montella on his 3rd victory of the season, and it was in some style as well, wasn't it? Arguably never in doubt. Tooley got the jump on the first lap, got the whole shot into turn 1, but by turn 5 Montella was already through, and that was that really. Tooley tried to hold on to the back of Montoya on the opening few laps. The gap didn't rise to over a second until about 5 or 6 laps in. But Montoya getting some well-earned refreshments on board. He'll now sit down with his team, go through the race and get set to try and do it all again later on this afternoon. There's Alessandro Zacconi. He'll be happy to stand on the podium again. He finished third in last year's 2019 season behind Edgar Pongi, champion, and Hector Garzo, who have both moved up into the Moto2 World Championship. And hugs all round for the 15-year-old Fermin Aldeguer. What a ride from the young Spaniard. His team understandably very pleased, and Fermin looks incredibly happy about 7th place. Just 3 seconds behind Tiger Harder on the Moto2 Calex machine, with Alex Toledo around 5 seconds behind Fermin. So really, really good job from the young Spaniard. You'll be hearing from Montoya shortly, as he'll be speaking to Jack Gorse down in pit lane. I think he's walking over there now, so we'll hear from him shortly as Thule debriefs with his team. He'll need to find a step in race 2 if he's to challenge the Italian. But a great way to start our proceedings here in Portimao. 3 races coming up for you. We've got the European Talent Cup next before the Moto3 Junior World Championship get their round 2 underway. As we could now head down to Parc Fermé, and Jack Gorse should be speaking to your race winner, Jari Montoya. There he is.
I'm really happy. It was an incredible race. I maintained the pass lap by lap, and I will thank my team, because here we don't have any dates of this circuit, on this circuit with this bike. So with the setting yesterday, we found a right way, and now I am happy for this. Now we concerned on the second race.
And in your own language?
Sono molto contento perché non avevamo nessun dato qui su questa pista con questa moto, e voglio ringraziare veramente il team perché abbiamo fatto, secondo me, un ottimo lavoro. E ora però rimaniamo concentrati su gara 2, che bisogna fare un bel risultato anche lì.
Congratulations, race 1 winner Jari Montoya.
Congratulations indeed, thumbs up from your race winner. Here's a look back on what happened just a few moments ago. As I've previously mentioned, Thule got the launch off the line and got it done into turn 1, but it was soon your pole sitter, Jari Montoya, who bit back at turn 5. Here's the move that would ultimately win him the race, sitting Thule up. And that was that for your race winner. Spectacular wheelie coming down the hill on the opening lap, as the battle for the final podium position was extraordinary. Further back, there's Tulovic and Medina going at it, with the eventual podium man Zacconi just behind them on the number 61. Turn 1 really is a great place for overtaking, and it was disaster for Peter Biesakowski, but he'll be back in race 2 to make amends. As we saw Zacconi and Medina battling out for P3, in which the number 61 would eventually beat the number 5. And talking of number 5s, there's 2 of them on the front of his machine, and that was your race winner. Nicky Thule had a pretty lonely race in race 2 as Luka Tulovic crashed out just like he did in Estoril. Unfortunate for the German, but no one could catch the green machine of Jari Montoya. 3 from 3 at the start of 2020 for the Italian, and he's looking unstoppable. And there's the battle for the final podium position as Zacconi and Medina battled it out. Let's hope for some more of that in race 2.
Yeah, certainly, Elliot. It was a pretty good performance there from Jari Montoya, and he actually just pointed out a very valuable point there. Of course, no one's ever been here before on the Moto2 bike, or at least certainly for 3 years. Last time we were here was 2016, so they didn't have many settings, and it was just as it was. Anyway, we see the championship there. 75 points for Montoya. Tuli's 15 back with 60. Zacconi in third. Medina in fourth, just a few more back from Zacconi. Tiger Harder, after his late race charges, promoted him to fifth.
Yeah, looking further down in the championship standing, 10th is Alex Toledo on the stock 600. There's Lucas Tulovic, not the race one he would have wanted, with Matteo Ratto, Sam Wilford, Takeshi Izuzuka, Alessandro Zetti, Johan Diaz and Kevin August making up the top 17. And in 18th there's Leon August, the German, on the stock 600 Yamaha.
Yeah, I can tell you for one thing as well, Elliot, it is pretty warm outside. All the guys coming in there, taking their helmets off and having to put their masks on as is mandatory here. They were all breathing and panting pretty hard. So, you know, it's obviously been hard work out there, and rather them than me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually how hot the conditions are as we see Fermin Algarve taking his position on the stock 600 podium. Zacconi third, Tuli second, and as you heard the commentator at the circuit, Jari Montoya stands on the top step of the podium. He's getting used to that as the Italian, as the team get presented with their third straight winners trophy. They'll be hoping a repeat of that in race 2, and it'll be a successful 2 weekends in Portugal for the Speed Up guys. Can the Speed Up guys in the Moto2 World Championship repeat that? Fermin Algarve holding his trophy aloft, well deserved for the young Spaniard. Zacconi picks up his second podium of the season. Zacconi's Tuli's third straight second place. He doesn't look too displeased, to be fair to him. 3 seconds isn't exactly a bad way to start the season, but he won't be happy that Jari Montoya lifts the winner's trophy for a third time. And the Italian is presented with a nice little bonus of €250.
That would be all right. That's not too bad, a little €250 bonus. That's a nice little help out.
The Italian national anthem sings out for Jari Montoya. I've got to say, it's probably my favourite national anthem. What a tune that is.
Yeah, it's certainly a good one. Describing it as what a tune is quite funny, but anyway, it's a very good national anthem. As again, we look at the championship standings, and no surprise, it is the Italian on the Speed Up on top of the lot.
Yeah, Nicky Tuli 15 points adrift in second place, with Zacconi third in the standings, actually top 3 from before race 1. Medina in fourth, Tiger Harder in fifth, Norridin, Fermin Algarve, Javi Carlos and Peter Bierce-Kirsty round out the top 9. Alex Toledo 10th with Lucas Tulovic, Matteo Ratto, Sam Wilford, Takeshi Izuzuka, Alessandro Zetti, Johan Diaz and Kevin August making up the top 17.
Yeah, and just his brother Leon August in 18th place there.
So that's race 1 of the day done and dusted here in Portimao. Next up, we'll be getting set for the European Talent Cup guys to go racing, as we see a spectacular shot of your winner, Jari Montoya, pulling a nice little wheelie.
Yeah, don't worry, that wasn't that little incident he had on lap 1 or lap 2, whenever it was. That is just him showboating on the cool-down lap. Very cool as well, and through a fantastic corner, we named the Craig Jones corner, of course. He was a pretty spectacular rider himself.
He certainly was, Jack. And Jari Montoya waves to the marshals, and there he is, your winner from race 1. We'll be seeing him back in action a little bit later on this afternoon, as we now get set for the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Don't go anywhere.